Hello viewers, Super GT here. How are we doing? Recently we've been doing a lot of league racing on Gran Turismo, mainly because the game's getting a little bit stale, if we're honest. The last season ended, and we're going to do another one. Another 4-week season begins today. A couple of little changes for this season. The main thing really is that race 1 is not in Group 4 cars anymore. It's in this, the Mazda Roadster Touring car, which always makes for amazing racing. Then the second race of each week is in a Group 3 car. I have gone for the trusty Peugeot RCZ. There it is. Thank you for those revs, Peugeot. But there it is, the Peugeot RCZ. Quite a brave choice because I think everyone else has gone for Chevrolet, the Corvette. But we'll see when we turn up into the lobby. But with that said, let's jump into race 1. It's in the Mazda MX-5 at Dragon Trail Gardens reverse. Let's go. All right, so we're in the lobby. Here is everyone. Now, many familiar names from the last season. We've got a couple of new guys. Race Streamer Rob, Batters Racing Co. and Malik M. This guy's going to be the guy to beat, I think. Very, very fast. Finished third last year. It'd be tricky to finish third again. Alright, here it is then, qualifying. I think if I can do a 38.9, I'll be very happy. Some of the guys here are very, very... Whoa! He's... Oh! That's not going to help his case. But if I can get sort of into the 38s, I think I'll probably be around third. Okay, so the aim is a 138. Even a 0.9 will do. Let's see if we can do it. Now, this is my first qualifying lap, and it didn't particularly go to plan, as we'll see in just a moment. We're coming towards the final corner. This is a very technical circuit. Dragon Trail Gardens reverse, and it actually goes pretty well with this car, to be fair. Down the main straight then, across the line to complete our first lap, and it is going to be 139.5, so about half a second off where we need to be. We've got a couple more laps left to try to improve. Luckily, this guy stayed ghosted. He stayed on the racing line, and I thought he was just going to come out of that ghost last second. Fortunately, it didn't happen. Now, on the next lap, I was a 10th up after the first split. After the second, I was 1.5 tenths up. I felt like we got kind of blocked here, well, at least visually. We got visually impaired. It can be a bit of a distraction on your qualifying lap to have someone that close in front of you. Then he did pull out of the way just after. And then we just have one more corner left to go. The long right-hander onto the main straight. And then hopefully that is going to be an improvement on the 39.3, which we now have. Still in 8th position across the line. And then we go to a 38.9, which is actually the kind of pace I need to be. But as you can see, I'm still only 7th, and I'm half a second off, only half a second off pole, but I'm 7th. That just shows you how close this league is. There's lots of very quick drivers in this league, so it certainly is not going to be easy to place well. But we have another lap here, probably one more after this one as well, within which to try to improve. Now Tim Clark just in front, quite close. If I can get just in slipstream range on the final sector, then I might be able to gain a couple of tenths for free. That could give us a slightly quicker lap time. First sector there, a little bit slower than the fastest lap. Than my fastest lap, sorry. But so still got 2 more sectors to try and improve. Into the hairpin. Very easy to overcook this one. We pretty much nail it. The braking, the entry, the apex, and the exit. Pretty much all done beautifully. So let's see how much in time that has gained. So now a 10th up, so just have to make sure we don't annihilate the chicane of sausages, which we love. Ride the second sausage, of course, but avoid the first one, and that is the rule of the chicane of sausages, basically. In fact, sometimes you might want to ride the first chicane, but I think in this car, typically probably better to avoid it. But we are in the slipstream here, so it's a case of waiting to cross the line and see where we are. It's going to be a 38.6 up into third, and I was pretty darn pleased with that lap. As you can see here, as I smash it into the wall. I think that lap there is about as good as I'm going to get. 30... What did I do? 38.6. I got the toe at the end there as well. That really helped. It is so close. The grid is so close. Okay, there it is. I'm really happy with that. Third on the grid. Okay, race 1 of the season. 20 minutes. Let's see what we can do, guys. Wish me the best of luck. Cross everything. It was very, very close at the front. It was 0.3 of a second between first and 7th. That just shows how close this lobby was. But let's try and have a good start here. Start of the race, start of the season is underway, and actually it was a pretty poor start. I think I forgot to turn traction control on, and that's given me a poor launch, down to 5th already. But then Marky Boy comes in with a savage assault on Ryan and immediately hands me back 3rd position. Oh, Roswell got wiped out there, so just gotta stay in the toe of these guys for as long as possible. So that absolutely huge wipeout was actually pretty much a get out of jail free card. I made a hash at the start, but then back up into 3rd. So now I have a really good opportunity here to try and keep up with these two guys in front and potentially just pull away from the pack. Now Nathan and Callum here, 1st and 2nd, both very quick. In practice, they were very quick. Qualifying very quick. And it's going to be very difficult to beat them throughout the course of the race. The best I can do really is just to try and hang on as long as possible and give myself a chance. The main thing that I would do is really just pull me away from the guys behind. And because it was such a close lobby, as you can see in qualifying, that would be great. That would be very good if I can just get a lot of free time now, early on, and then just bring it home. That's the ideal objective anyway. But races never normally go to plan. You never quite plan it that easily. So, end of the 1st lap, and I am within slipstream range. That is good news. Callum's going to go for the move here into turn 1 against Nathan. The space was there. He goes for it. Doesn't quite pull it off, although they're going side by side for the entirety of the corner. Nathan's still on the left-hand side here, and that's going to give him the inside for the corner up ahead. And I didn't really want to fight this. I perhaps could have gone for that move there, but I just wanted to work as a team here early days. Early on in the race, didn't really want to get into a scrap. All I wanted to do is really just work as a team and just try to pull away from the guys behind, at least just for a couple of laps, just to let the race settle down, get that big gap, and then bank the profit later. So for this middle sector, this was probably the hardest bit of the track, I would say. These consecutive corners here, and lifted there, didn't quite get the line right. And as you can see, I lose maybe 2 or 3 car lengths as a result of that one little misjudgment. But we continue, still in the slipstream range. We're still in a good place. Let's whip it forward to the chicane sausages. So pretty much just hanging on there in 3rd place, quite a comfortable position in the toe. I know that these guys are quicker. At the moment, they're not driving absolutely on it. They're driving a little bit tentatively, and they're fighting as well. So I think you see there the body language of Nathan as he swerves across. He's conscious of having to defend, and again, by moving across, you can tell his intention is quite clear. He's not really trying to put in the laps, it's really just, well, put in the laps plus defend and make sure he doesn't lose the lead. And I was quite worried about that. Guys, don't fight too much. We need to pull away. Please. Please. Yeah, I didn't want them to fight too much because every time they fought, it was just going to slow the 3 of us down, and it would mean that the guys behind would catch up. I'm going to skip to lap 4. By this point, the gap was about 1.5 seconds to the guy behind, which is quite a comfortable gap. About a second more than the slipstream range, or just under. But this is where things got tricky. And this sector here is, I think, definitely my weakest area of the circuit. Because if you get one corner wrong, you get the first bit wrong, you tend to get the rest of it wrong. And there's probably about 3 or 4 corners there, so you can easily lose half a second or at least a couple of tenths if you make an absolute hash of it, which is basically what I did. And unfortunately that meant that they pulled away. As you can see here at the end of lap number 4, so I lasted 7 minutes in the slipstream, but good things must come to an end. And unfortunately I lost the toe by by this lap, beginning of lap 5. So now I was on my own basically. I just had to lap from here to the end without the tow, without any assistance. But here, this is lap 6 now. Ryan got back through into 4th after getting shafted on turn 1, lap 1. And he was doing a rather good job. You can see the leaders pulling away slightly. And well, I say slightly, that's quite a big gap now, 2 seconds. And you see there, I was quite distraught. Ryan's already on me. I'm going backwards here. Yeah, I was going backwards as I correctly assert. And I know that at this point of the race, it's unlikely I'm just going to be able to catch up on the quickest 2 guys in the lobby. It's just really a case of damage limitation, try and keep 3rd. This is basically what happens when you qualify maybe better than you should. I mean, it's better to qualify as high as you can, even if you don't belong there. But sometimes you get found out a little bit in the race because you don't actually quite have the pace that you showed in the qualifying. It was just a bit of a fluke lap almost in the qualifying session. Crossing the line with 10 minutes to go. Half the race done pretty much, so 6 laps done. Presumably 6 more to go. We shall see about that. We had an incident in the first season where I had to do an extra lap unanticipatedly. Is that even a word? I don't know. It is now. But so it could be 13. We'll see at the end. So now, as you can see, very conscious of Ryan's presence, and I think yes, we could let him through and just get into the tow. But at the same time, I think with 10 minutes to go, or 9.5 now, I could conceivably defend, keeping behind for that long. It will be difficult because it is not the easiest circuit to defend around. There are quite a lot of overtaking opportunities, especially when the driver behind is quick and they have the slipstream as well. So it's not going to be an easy task to try and keep it behind for another 5 or 6 laps. The leader's very, very quick. A couple of seconds, or at least a couple of tenths per lap quicker. I'm only lapping in the mid-39s, which isn't quick enough really. And needs to be at least low 39s. I was a couple of tenths off where I needed to be. It was a bit disappointing really, because in the qualifying I was a lot quicker. Defending here into turn 1 and not really making any effort to work together here. I think we're more than halfway into the race. It's just a case of I'm just going to fight for this position to the end now and see if it's possible. It's not going to be easy. I'm going to cover to the left hand side. Ryan goes outside. Very easy to go wide into this long left here onto the red stuff on the outside. Very, very easy to corner to make a mistake on this one. And if you get it wrong, and you really do get it wrong around that corner. So we don't get it wrong there, but we do get it wrong here. Taking a way too narrow line. I go defensive. I was conscious that I made that mistake. Unfortunately, into here, I just go way too deep. Been way too untidy here. This is really bad. And I said it there. This is really bad. I mean, quite a simple statement, but it's a very true statement. My driving just got a little bit more ragged as this race developed, and the pressure became a little bit more intense, and we got towards the end of the race. Side by side here with Mark. Ryan goes through, up into 3rd. Try to run him narrow. I wasn't quite far ahead enough there. And unfortunately, Ryan already gets out of slipstream range. That was quite crucial there. So that fighting really didn't help the pair of us here, fighting for 4th. And we get a good exit. I can retake 4th here. That's exactly what we're going to try and do. Back up the inside as we cross the line to begin lap number 9. That was a slow lap there, 40.8. It shows you how bad of a lap it was with all the fighting. Mark tries to put up the inside here on the exit. I have to drive wider to try and accommodate that. But now we have another player joining the fight. Batters Racing Co. So this is tricky. You know, we've got two guys to defend against, and still a couple of laps left to go. Marky boy up the inside does a good job there, running side by side, but I just managed to get the better traction on the way out to keep the position. So staying in 4th. The pressure is building though. It's getting increasingly difficult to keep this position, and I think my lack of practice time is kind of showing here. I did maybe half an hour, 45 minutes of practice for this. I'm not sure how much practice the other guys have done, but I'm pretty sure a lot of them done maybe a little bit more than that. I think I need to up my practice time, and that's usually something I can't be bothered to do. But I think if I want to seriously compete, I think if you want to seriously compete in anything in life, you do need to put the time in. But over the line, I'm going to defend once again. 39.3, so it's a bit better that lap time than our previous ones. Keeping the inside here into turn 1. We're definitely towards the latter stage of the race now, so it's much more conceivable that I could defend this position for the remaining time. And things were about to get a lot easier for me, because coming through here, through my dreaded sector, it was getting very close. Marked out to the inside. I took a midline. Then the thing I wanted to happen happened on the exit here. Oh! I was hoping that might happen, and it did. Okay, so I've got a bit of breathing space now at least. Should be 2 more laps, I think. So I predict there'll be 2 more laps. We crossed the line with pretty much exactly 0 seconds left on the 12th lap. So we had to do the 13th lap. And not that it really mattered, because Ryan was too far ahead and Trev was too far behind for really anything to happen. All I had to do here was really just not make a stupid mistake. But that was the end of race number 1. It's going to be a 4th, which, to be honest, is not the end of the world. That was tough. That was very tough. That's an example of what happens when you qualify too well, and I had no actual pace. Yeah, I just didn't really have the pace there. Not compared to the top 2. They were at least a couple of tenths quicker per lap. Whilst I was in the slipstream, it was okay, but as soon as I lost the toe, didn't have a chance. We go on to the next race, though. Half an hour, reverse grid at Monza. Let's do it. All right, this is it. Let's find out what people are driving for this whole season then. A lot of Corvettes then. I think this Peugeot is a risky choice. It's good in the corners, maybe not so much top end, and there's a lot of top end tracks. All right, here we go. Wish me luck. Loads of luck against all these Corvettes. I'm going to need it. There's the grid. Oh yeah, we're trying a nose stop, by the way. All right, this is it. Race number 2, starting 11th. So this is a reverse grid for those who didn't watch last season. This is, yeah, so reverse grid of the first race. So starting 11th this time. In the Peugeot, half an hour. Let's go. Awful start. It actually started all right, and then the second phase was just shocking. Just what I need, a car that's really slow off the line. Yeah, and I kind of was very unhappy there immediately that I found out that this car wasn't actually that good at launching. But there you go. We must continue. So through the typical Monza Turn 1 shenanigans, I actually gained back 2 positions. I actually went down to 14th and last temporarily there. But last season, this was the last race of last season, and I managed to finish 2nd. And I probably could have won it, if anything. So let's see if we can repeat that kind of form. Rob there on the outside getting shafted and losing a massive handful of positions. And I'm into 10th. Started 11th. Now into 10th. Okay, not too bad. We haven't lost out totally. But there's a long way to go yet. We need to see how good this Peugeot is. In practice, it was okay. The lap times were decent. But it just doesn't quite have the top speed, which is the main thing you want around Monza. It does have good traction and good grip through the chicanes though. Now into this corner, into the chicane. That is Tim Clark going very, very deep into the gravel realm, and I think that was Nathan giving him a sympathy spin as well. So he lost a couple of positions. Now I'm up behind the very noisy Mazda. Now you're probably wondering, why am I not just overtaking him here? Around Monza, you have to be very tactical. Monza is a very tactical circuit because of the slipstream. If you go for a move into Parabolica, which is this corner, you just get overtaken again, coming back up into turn 1. So it's better often just to wait and then do the move on the main straight, which we're on now. And that's exactly what we're going to try. In the slipstream, going past the Mazda is going to be a 3 abreast if you look at the radar bottom right. This could end quite messily into turn 1. Thankfully, the drivers in this lobby are really rather sensible, and I think that is something that happens when a lot of us have raced together in real life. We understand that there's risk and rewards, and you mustn't go around killing each other, because that is not how the world should operate. That doesn't help anyone, really, does it? Into the Della Roger, lap number 2. Bit of a gap up ahead. Now, I really need to close it up as quickly as possible. It's quite tricky given the straight line speed of this car, or the lack thereof. But given that it's a reverse grid race, you never know what might happen. The unexpected can happen, and it often does. Now, there is a bit of a rule tweak this season, and I can just go through that here. Okay, so he has a penalty there, and there's a new rule: you can't overtake if you have a penalty. You have to get rid of it first. So you can't go past me. So there's a new rule: if you have a penalty, you can't actually overtake until you get rid of the penalty, which is quite a good rule actually. So I knew that he couldn't actually go past me here, so I didn't have to defend. I just let him push me up the straight. But then we did have Nathan recovering from earlier shenanigans, so we did have to worry about him. So he goes through. He doesn't have a penalty, so he can overtake me. And I felt like, well, he is quick. I'm not quite gaining on this group in front as quickly as I'd like. He's in the Corvette. I could just tuck into the slipstream here and use him as a bridge to get towards that group in front. I'm not quite making the progress I would have liked. Last season I had the Lexus, which I think is a little bit better in a straight line, and I was therefore able to make the progress a bit easier. But here I'm going to be reliant on someone else for their top speed, and I'm going to use Nathan as my bridge to get over to that group. So he goes slightly defensive here. I'll just back off just to let him know, hey mate, I'm your mate here, I'm your friend, I'm not going to try and overtake you, I'm just going to sit behind, you do all the work, and I'll just piggyback off of your success. And that's basically the plan. And it basically worked. You see the end of lap number 4, we got onto the back of the group. I wasn't quite close enough here. Look at the difference though in top speed. I set a decent lap time there, mainly because of the slipstream. Into turn 1 we managed to regain that gap lost. This car is actually very good on the brakes, to be fair. Martin here goes very wide. Look at this top speed difference. So I go past him, got the extra momentum, and he has the inside line plus a bit of slipstream. There's nothing I can do here. He just comes flying back past, and you can see the dismay on my face when I just realised that this is going to be a very difficult race. It's going to be one of those races where you're kind of fighting with one arm tied behind your back, and because of my frustration I let it get the better of me there really, and just made a mistake on the chicane. Very easy to get a 1 second penalty, so I can keep this penalty. Of course, as I just mentioned, there's the rule that I can't overtake until I get rid of it, so I need to kind of get rid of this tactically and make sure I mean I could just get rid of it right now, but then I'd lose the toe. So it is going down there without me slowing down too much. So I just need to make sure I get rid of this penalty in a safe and tactical manner. So with Callum here behind, he was going to come through, no doubt. So I thought, let's just let him go ahead, and then I'll tuck into his toe. And as I said earlier, it's a tactical race. Unfortunately, I'm having to engage tactics that I don't really want to have to engage, like tactical penalty serving and letting faster drivers through tactics. Not really tactics you want to have to employ, but sometimes if you know if you are the slower driver, sometimes you just have to do it. So here, braked a lot earlier into the second chicane and got rid of the penalty, and didn't really lose too much time there because the guys ahead were fighting so much. But we are at the back of a very long line of cars here. They're in the slipstream, and there is a chance of trying to make some progress now, so that is good news. But it's not all doom and gloom in the world of Super GT. Here, 10 minutes into this Monza race. Still 20 minutes to go. Things are looking rather juicy up in front. So lots of potential here to gain some positions. So Marky Boy just gets out of the line here, leaves himself open for this move, and I'm just going to dive into that gap and follow through Martin. Are we going to try and move here? I think so. Once again, the problem is we have the toe, but there is a big gap up in front once again. I'm going to follow him. Are we going to go for the bump draft? I'm going to go for the bump draft this time, because I think every time I go through and try to go for the move, I just run out of steam and can't really go for it. Cover the inside because I feel like there is a driver quite close behind. We do get actually tapped slightly, and that makes us go into the side of Martin. But we just recover the position and continue for now. To just say there, I got pushed. I got the inside line here against Mark, so I'm just going to recover this position. Now it's a case of just trying to pick this move and trying to do it in the right place. Now I go for the move here, which probably was not the best place. I'm going to try it, see if it works. and unfortunately I did have to dip 2 wheels into the gravel on the exit. And this is a really good example, actually, this race. This is a really good example of when the race doesn't go to quite to plan, you start making bad decisions. And I'm not making the best decisions here. Of going for that move, I shouldn't have really gone for it. And I'm just going for more desperate moves because there's not much else I can do. But it's a really good example of that, I think, this race. And unfortunately, I'll go into the back of Trev and push him on a little bit. That wasn't very good driving. So I'm mired in a midfield battle that I really didn't want to be in. In the reverse grid race, yes, you are going to fight a lot of people. But ideally, you just want to get through and make your progress and get away as quickly as possible. But that is not really happening here. And here, I got the cutback. This is a classic example.
Straight line speed.
And yeah, I just could not quite go past him. The straight line speed was lacking. So I was going to have to get creative in how I managed to get this position. And the creativity came from Mark, in fact. He actually bumped drafted me through into the position, and I just went for it. And had he not done that, I don't think I'd have been able to do it. So I've got to say a massive thank you to my rear gunner Mark there, who isn't even on my team, but it really helped me out. So now I just had to have a really good couple of corners here just to make sure that I could break away from Martin and Mark and potentially move forward and catch Sam Dimolo, who's up in 7th, my teammate from season 1, from the previous season, which was actually season 2. So through the 2 Degners? We're not at Suzuka. Oh my god, my mind's gone completely blank, and everyone is going mental at me in the comments right now. Okay, so we actually caught up with Sam a couple of laps later and went for this move. Because he's got a penalty, I might as well go for the move because he can't go for the return move on me. And he will therefore have to help me with the bump drafting. So I go past him, he makes a mistake, and the guys behind start fighting. And through here, this is the final lap. It became quite a lonely race here in 7th. So I started 11th, made my way to 7th. So yes, we moved forward, but it's still a very difficult race. Oh, thank goodness that is over. That is not the right car. That is not the right car. I think I need to choose the Corvette. Managed to drag it to a 7th. I really couldn't do much more. Every time I pulled alongside someone, I would just run out of steam and then they'd just go straight back past. All right, let's take a look at the standings after that first round. I'm 5th at the moment. So probably not the best result overall. You know, I'd ideally like to be top 3, but Kirith did well in that second race to hold off and win. And I suppose with the reverse grid, you can pick up big points there. It's just round 1. We'll come back strong in round number 2. So that was the first week. It was I didn't perform as well as I probably could have done. I do need to sweat the practice a bit more, I think, and probably choose a better car. That would also help. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Give us a follow, Instagram, Twitter, it's all linked below. But in the meantime, everyone, stay safe, take care, and I'll see you very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.